Sorry, I'm not much used to this. I just want you to picture a regular Monday morning in any busy household. I'm sure you can all, most working mothers in here can easily identify with a frantic scene where you're trying to get your kid together, pack a lunchbox for school, get your briefcase stuffed with documents, making sure you're not taking, drawings with you at a board meeting, which has happened to me. I'm sure has happened to many others in here. At that Monday morning, I was actually also packing a suitcase because I was again leaving straight from the office to go on a business trip, which I did very often back then, which was quite a few years ago. My daughter was 2.5 years old, so she was pulling my clothes, I was dragging my suitcase, she was pulling me, I was packing things. So at some point I say, I really have to go, honey, mommy needs to go. She's going to be late, so I hug her and I kiss her and she kisses me back and I say, I'm gonna see you in a few days. And then she turns and she tells me in the most natural way, she says, Mommy, I want you, why don't you want me back? Ouch, that hurt. So there I was in the car, commuting on my way to work, which back then took me an hour every morning. I was very, very upset. But then, you go back into the office and it's business as usual and you're very busy and you stop thinking about things which make you very emotional because it's work. Just to clarify my situation in my other life, before I reinvented myself, and that's why I'm actually here, I was a business manager in a large corporation. I think I was quite successful at what I did. There were 3 promotions in 8 years. I was managing quite a large team of people. I was running the most profitable department of the company. So, that makes you feel quite important. Raising a child, it's, maybe you don't think it's that cool. So I felt really stupid that day because there was my child, which was actually my second child because I had lost another child before that, and for whose pregnancy I had spent quite a good deal of time stranded in bed, and for some reason did not fit my reality. So that was epiphany number 1 on that morning. And later that day, when I rushed to the airport, and as usual, frantically I tried to buy a book to get on the plane with me, because I love to fill my silence with other people's words back then, be it with a book or magazine or with my laptop. I happened to bump into this book which had just come out. It was called I Don't Know How She Does It by Alison Pearson. Now, it's quite a well-known book. It was actually made into a film by Sarah Jessica Parker. So I was there on that plane, and I had epiphany number 2. There I was sitting on the plane reading that book, and it was my life. And I was wondering, this woman has read my mind. It talks about this person who's in the business world. She's out there trying to make a living, trying to prove how successful she can be, trying to prove that there can be work-life balance, trying to prove that women can have it all, just like I felt I was doing. And at some point, she just gave everything up because she realized that at that stage in her life, she needed to reinvent herself and become something else because she wanted to spend time with her children. So that was revelation time, because I was there on that plane, tears coming down streaming down my cheek, and then I realized I was not very happy with my situation, but there was a problem. I had invented myself to be like that. So I had invented myself to be like that, here through my passion, and now I had to reinvent myself to be something else. And that was really a problem, because how do you reinvent yourself that easily? So my revelation phase actually led into a contemplation phase, which lasted for about 6 to 8 months. So during that contemplation phase, I read every manual that was out there on being a successful business person and mother at the same time, read every book, talked to people, and then I realized that, I had to shut up and listen to myself. Because I had, for the first time, to allow the silence in my head to be filled with my own thoughts and my own answers. And at some point, I realized that you can invent and reinvent yourself as many times as you wanted to. My revelation led into contemplation. My contemplation led into action. It wasn't easy. I was not considered very normal. In Cyprus, we have this tendency to work in silos. You classify others, you classify yourself. So even today, sometimes when I say, because I teach now, so when I'm at a lecture somewhere and I say I used to be a business person, people think I'm very strange. I'm not normal. How can I be a history teacher? How can I lecture on international relations? And how can I have been a business manager? How is it possible to know things about real estate, sales and marketing, and the Weimar Republic? Doesn't make much sense. It's not normal. Well, maybe I'm not normal. What is normal? So I decided to resign. I decided to reinvent myself. I had to search in here. I realized that the solution to the problem was actually the solution I didn't want to see. So comparing small things with great, I became a full-time mother for some time. It was very, very difficult. I didn't know who I was. The greatest reaction to my action actually came from myself. And of course, in Greek, if you think about it, there is no such term as a full-time mother. You're simply someone who doesn't work, So if you do nothing, you are nothing. And also, I felt a traitor because I had been in the women's movement for a very long time, and many times other younger women would come and they would say, you opened the road to us, you are in that meeting and it's all men and you're the only woman in there and we want to be like you. And then I quit. And they came up to me and they said, what are you doing? You fought for this all your life. You made us believe it was possible. Actually, one of them came and said, you are my hero, you cannot go. So I decided that the passion I had fighting for a cause I believed in, that women can do whatever men can do, whatever I did from the front line, I could actually channel my energy and my passion and do it from the trenches at the back. So I channeled all my energy into becoming, into working with a lot of NGOs. I did quite a lot of voluntary work for a lot of causes I believed in. And there I was, dragging my daughter to every lobby meeting, conference. She's been to libraries, she's been to rallies, she's been to 1 Billion Rise event, she's been to the House of Europe, she's been everywhere with me. Okay, poor child. So I was again not considered very normal, because when I stood up in certain events or conferences and I said that sometimes, comparing great things, small things with great, sometimes we need to start with the small things. Sometimes to break the glass ceiling, you don't just start with the institutions or the legal framework or the quotas, but maybe you should start with your own children. Teach your children to be who they want to be. There is no such thing as normal. They don't have to be classified in silos. And I was considered quite a heretic, because it's a very controversial opinion, standing up in a meeting of hardline activists who have fought all their lives for equality in the workplace and have been lobbying members of parliament and politicians, and you saying, maybe it's the simple things which matter first. Start with the small things, start with your children. I took quite a lot of criticism for that. I was considered to be an old-fashioned person, not very normal. But then I had another revelation. I was wondering, maybe I should be more theoretical. Maybe I should focus on the big picture. Maybe the great things do matter most. Maybe, I'm just being very narrow-minded, because I turned from a business manager to a full-time mother, then to a part-time or a freelancer, now back at full-time employment, but in a different field. Maybe I should be focusing on the big picture. And then one day, we were coming back from a rehearsal at the battered women's shelter with my daughter. Some kids were doing a rehearsal for an interactive event, and there was this doll. There was this doll in the middle of the room, and they were sticking stickers on the doll with really nasty comments and circling the doll, pretending they were shouting all kind of mean stuff to this person. And we were going back home, and we were in the car, and then my daughter said, we were talking about the event, and then my daughter says, "Mommy, that thing that doll was experiencing in that room, I actually felt it many times. There are many nasty people out there at my school, saying all nasty things to other kids. And those things actually become the voices that you carry in your head with you whenever you go." So that was another revelation. And then I didn't have to teach her anything. She started teaching me. She started telling me how you stand up to bullies, how women should never accept to be called any nasty things by anyone, how you should be the person you want to be, how you can be powerful. And then it just occurred to me that I try to invent myself and reinvent myself. And sometimes I question my sense of worth, and I question my decisions. And I was wondering what I was doing was still important enough. Not making lots of money and not running a team and comparing small things with great and coming up with the feeling sometimes I was doing something really, really on the small scale. Then I realized that I had empowered my child to become what she wanted to be. And she's only 9. And I felt that in the same way that I had invented myself in here, she has now the potential to invent herself here. And I felt for the first time that my notion of activism, that yes, the big picture is very important. The great things, the large scale is really important. But sometimes I think the comparison between small and great should come from here. And if we all look into our sense of what we consider our sense of importance to be, sometimes when we look into our hearts, we will know what the great things are for us. And it is that way which I think is the most powerful message that anyone can give out to women out there trying to open roads and break the glass ceiling for everyone else involved. So we can all find our greatness the way we want it to be. There is no such thing as normal. And great is what great you want it to be. Thanks.